I want you to tell us exactly what is actually going on here. You ready for the first one?
Yes, I am.
3, 2, 1, and we are live.
We are.
So, Stuart.
Nicholas.
Very excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I'm a big fan. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you very much. And me too.
Yeah.
Very, very big fan of yours. It has taken a bit of time to get this together. But we finally got it together.
We finally got it
Fantastic.
together.
Yes.
Very exciting. So, quick question, right?
Yes.
Were you always bald?
I've actually been bald for longer than I wasn't bald.
Oh, really?
Because I went backpacking a lot in my 20s.
Right.
And I think the second or third time I went to Europe, I thought, damn, barbers and, you know, hair and all that rubbish, because I had quite long hair at the time. So
Really?
I shaved it all off.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Came back to Japan thinking, it'll grow back in time.
Oh.
Famous last words. That was
Nice.
it. It
That
hasn't
was
come back.
It
So
never came back. Wow.
I was 24 and that's, well,
Wow.
30 years ago.
How old are you now?
54.
Oh, 54. So I'm 48.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of like, you know, similar.
Get into this part of your life and, you know, what's 5 or 6 years between friends? Yeah.
So today, I've actually prepared something which is very unusual. For those of you guys that don't know StuartO, please check the link in the bio, or just check the bio actually downstairs, because it's like really cool. But most recently, apart from anything actually, you have just come out with songs.
Yes.
And so, I don't know. Seriously, what is your job? I mean, because you wear so many hats, it's not even funny. I think we should just go into like talking a little bit about things that you do.
All right.
So I know you do charity work.
Yes.
So this is how we rekindled.
That's right.
Through Santa Soul Train.
Yes.
That we're going to talk about today.
Good.
And you do stuff with children?
Yes, I was or have been on NHK for kids for about 16 years.
Wow.
So a lot of that has been on camera in my earlier days. I mean, they're kind of a bit funny about having people over 50 on kids shows for whatever reason. But until my late 40s, I was on all the time. So I would go around Japan doing lots of kids shows based on that show, and also my own independent show. Cool. And so I had we'd go all around Japan until Corona came along and destroyed everything. Yeah. But I would go 3 times a week doing something, and probably about usually half of those were kids-related things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so I've also done my fair share of stuff. We're going to talk about entertainment business a lot today. But I actually did a kids show called Hoka Poka Mocha Town. I think it was something
Hoka
bizarre.
Poka Mocha Town.
Yeah, now the main character on that show was a coffee bean. No wonder this show only lasted half a season.
These things I've had to do.
And so, but you also do music. You make music, you sing songs, right?
Yes.
And you DJ.
A DJ, yes.
And then you MC.
MC a lot, yes.
And then you do TV shows in acting, and also as in like just like fun stuff.
StuartO, and just talking and that as well, yes. And reporting and so on,
What would you say your job is?
At the moment, it's a good question. Jack of all trades. No. We'll get into the serious thing here. I think at the moment, because of what's happened with Corona, and the fact there's no live work at all now, and also I can't really go on location doing reporting jobs because they don't want a foreign reporter coming to their locations, it seems. I don't know whether that's just a foreign thing or it may be, they don't want reporters per se coming. Right. A lot of these things I do are food-related or alcohol-related, so I'm going into factories and so on. So maybe, of course, this because of what's happening now with Corona. So that's all kind of like on the back burner. My main thing now is the voices. I do loads of different commercial voices in the last, say, since I came back to Japan, 18 years. I've done over 200 major commercial campaigns. Wow. In this kind of a voice. It's all in Japanese, of course. That's probably my main thing at the moment that people would know me from. If you've got a TV set.
The voices. Yeah.
The voice, but it's this kind of like, Minna no karage-kun, ikko zoryo-chu, kanfen-chu. Well, that kind of a voice. And that's gone ballistic, and that's kind of like what I bought a house with it. So
that is great.
But it wasn't. That was an accident. It was a complete accident.
For most of the Tomodachis, right? Until we get this show actually translated into Japanese, it's all English. So all the people that have to speak English, but your Japanese is nuts good. Like it's 素晴らしい. で、僕も日本語喋れるのが I could speak Japanese too, but not at that level at all.
Well, I've been kind of forced into it because I thought, okay, to gain a foothold in the market, so TV, radio, emceeing, and all these kind of things. Being here, I thought you've got to have the language. If I was in your position, for example, you're known for your fighting, being a fighter, and then the Japanese skill on that is kind of like not a secondary thing, but you can get by on being a fighter. That name recognition alone will get you media work and so on. Right. In my case, I'm a media professional, so I've got to get work based on my skills. which are all media related still.
So hard.
So I taught myself Japanese. It took me years and years, and that's probably another reason why I got this hairstyle. Because
would you call it a hairstyle or a headstyle?
Yeah, headstyle. That's a good one.
Very distinctive though. It's like I actually really like it. We'll talk a little bit later on, but funny for sure. But an entertainer in Japan as a foreigner, I thought at one point in my career that this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be one of those geinojin, like these talents that just get all the jobs. And then here I see what you're doing. It's like, he's actually really doing it. Yeah, and I think there's only a few of you like that actually make a living off it in Japan.
Right,
like truly live off it, right?
Yeah,
so I think that in itself is an accomplishment that I was like very, very like interested in hearing more about.
Well, it's basically if you go through the system like Yoshimoto Kogyo, which is the main comedy company in Japan, all these bigger agencies that are mainly for Japanese talento. You got your people like your Dave Spectors, your Park Kuns, brilliant skill sets. They're fantastic. They're really, really, really good at their jobs. But they have also had the benefit of being part of that system. Yeah. Whereas I came in and I thought, well, I'm not on looks alone going to get any work, and I'm self-taught with Japanese, so I'm going to make sure I'm comfortable with what I'm doing before I actually do anything. Yeah. So I thought, okay, the third way is do it my own way, knock on doors, like volunteer my services to a TV show. I'll do it the first time for free, kind of thing. And then, just kind of like breaking down doors and doing really badly paid gigs. Here. No way. If you go online and you have a look, there are a few agents that I do get work through. Right. But I'm not signed exclusively to any of them.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So it's kind of like...
So you make all your own decisions and all your own prices and everything?
Yes, yeah.
Wow, that's even more interesting.
Yes, which can be a real kind of David Goliath thing.
Yeah, because like, how do you set a price on a 30-second commercial, for example?
Well, back in the day, it was based on what they thought I was worth. Right. But now, it's going to sound maybe a bit arrogant, but with the body of work behind you, you can turn around and say, well, I think I'm going to worth this much. And I've been already paid this much. Yeah. So how would you like to do this? Would you like to buy the thing out? So therefore, it's going to cost you X amount. Yeah. Are there residuals? So that will be less of a recording fee, a first down payment, if you like. But you'll have to keep paying me whilst the thing's on air and all these kind of different factors. Right. But there was one, I won't say the client or what it was, but I was in a commercial where I was the beginning of the commercial. It was me against a very, very popular talent group, but I was the evil against their goodness. Yeah. And it was this whole negotiation process of their manager and their agent didn't want me to be opening the commercial. Because they're huge in Japan and I'm, I'm a foreign, people know who I am and a lot of people don't, but there we are, I'm in the middle there. Yeah. But there was this negotiating process where the director was adamant that I'm going to go first. Yeah. And they were cool with it. They're like, great, go ahead. We know who he is and we're happy with this. They didn't want it. So I had to to keep the peace in a way, the directions were saying, can you knock it down a little bit and we'll give them more financial leeway in return for you getting the rights to be, the spot, not to beat the opening spot. Because I'm going to the screen going like,
that's a horrible thing to happen on the. Did that happen on the spot there?
No. I was in negotiation before that, so we went to a whole bunch of meetings, and I turn up with a hat and a bag, as you do, and there's 10 people sat there on the other side of the table, and they're, are you alone? It's like, so they go, I'm going to be by myself here. So I was on the back foot at the beginning, but there's been a lot of those kind of things happening, and it's kind of, you get a thick skin, and it's good.
That reminds me of a time when it was, so Dentsu, which is like the biggest advertising company in Japan, right? So they book all the big commercials or outsource them to everyone else, right? And they got these massive teams, right? So they roll up 20 people, 25 people for like a tiny little shoot, right? And there's like 20 people just standing around doing absolutely nothing, right? And it's like, what are these guys doing here, right? But anyway, so I was offered a part for a yogurt commercial with a very famous Japanese talent. And there was three of us, three different parts in it. Right? One of the part was some guy teaching her a hula dance, or girl teaching her hula dance. And then there was some other personality teaching her something else. And then there was she had to do this one karate kick. And it would be like, on the actual commercial, it would be like the yogurt in the middle and then like kick kind of thing, right? Like, I don't know what they were trying to go for in the story here, but, and then so.
Preceding the water bottle challenge.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, fair enough, right? I just thought it was super interesting, right? They called me into the big office, you know, and then it's like, it was raining that day and I only had a motorcycle. So I got in there on a motorcycle and I was completely drenched. And they said, yeah, go sit over there and wait over there. And then I waited for 2 hours. They didn't even offer like a towel or water, anything. And I was just sitting there drenched thinking, okay, I just want to go home now. And then in comes the talent. Says, we're going to reintroduce you to the talent. So I was like, oh, great. So they roll up again, same thing, 20 people. And they're like, oh, like they're all nervous about this talent. And she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And I was like, yeah, cool. Anyway, same thing happened. They're like, yeah, you are really good with the kick, but you're too famous. You can't be in the same shot as her because you're going to overshower her. And I was like, are you kidding me? She's a superstar in Japan. I was like, there's no way I wouldn't do that. So I was like, I got to go on set and teach her how to kick, not get on the
So you didn't actually do the commercial in the end?
No, I didn't do it.
That's, well, no. Reserve judgment. Maybe some people watching, but no, that's not, that's not good at all, is it?
No, I thought it was really bizarre. Like, but they paid pretty good. So in the end, I was like, oh, you know, why not? You know, and I got to meet her and, you know, talk to her and stuff like that. She ended up getting married to another guy. I don't forget, I can't remember their names, but they were a really famous couple in Japan.
But it is a very close kind of thing. There's only been, I suppose, the last 10 years where I'm actually getting credited for a lot of the work. So you go back, okay, when we were on TV together, which is the early 2000s, if you like, you'd look at the TV program. We weren't in it. No. It'd be all the Japanese talent that were listed. But you and I, who are the only non-Japanese in the show, we weren't even on the program or anything, at the TV guides or anything. So that's now, thank goodness, that's not a thing anymore. But there's always been this kind of like, you cannot overshadow the Japanese talent. And I think it's, you know,
Okay, so what kind of other stories do you have, like with commercials or stuff, where you like thought, oh, this is just bizarre?
Well, yeah, mainly, I suppose, TV shows where it's really, there's lots of like bizarre reporting you get to do, and like Buddhist, like Zazen temples and so on, with comedians who are trying to make fun of the situation where the monk is really serious. I'm kind of like, what do I do? Am I supposed to be with the comedians laughing at this or trying to be quite serious about it? So there's been some uncomfortable situations. I don't know, I had a bath with Tsumabuki Satoshi, who was, I was a gay character but a very flamboyant kind of gay character in a movie. And we all stayed at the same location and we got on really, really well in his house. He's the lead actor and his house is quite close to mine. Right. So they'd pick me up in the morning. We'd go jogging, you know, like on off days and so on together, because it was a 3 or 4 week shoot. Yeah. And then we ended up going to have a bath together. And then we did this kind of, this TV special, and we were talking about this to he didn't tell me, but he told the compere of the show, oh, I had a bath with the actor who's playing that gay character who's after me. I didn't know this. And so they confronted me with this, and I'm like, this is live breakfast TV. Am I supposed to be saying, you know, yes, I took a bath with him.
I mean, taking a bath in Japan is like really it's a normal thing for guys to do.
It is, but in the context of the movie, I mean, because people who haven't seen the movie yet or have just seen the movie would have been like, you know, hey,
maybe he's gay.
Maybe it's, you know, yeah, we go. We might start a scandal, but nothing really too kind of like, you know, weird like that. But yeah,
I think we kind of like touched on a really interesting topic, though we never really dove into it. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit. Yep. This feeling of being treated differently as a foreigner. And I know that there are talents, let's call them talents, in Japan, like yourself. I've been in that world for a long time too. I still happen to be in and out of it a little bit more. But on set, for example, are you treated as a foreign talent, or as you treated as because there's some talents that are treated as the Japanese almost. Like they get their name on the locker room, they get the higher fees, they get like, you know, the taxi ticket to go home and stuff like that, or it's like, oh yeah, we just need an extra. Because I've seen both sides of the coin.
I'm lucky enough to say that I'm on the first side, as in I get my own dressing room with a nameplate on it.
Nice.
Taxi home and taxi there in the mornings and all of that. So yeah, that's quite good. That's quite good. I kind of never really had to go through the extras kind of thing, because as I said before, I kind of worked out quite earlier that I don't really fit a media type image the Japanese would have of a foreigner. Yeah. So I kind of had to create my own thing. So I decided very early on in the piece that I should be doing branding and branding myself as just this particular talent, or rather than, you know, white guy, whatever age group, you know, Caucasian kind of, bald-headed, whatever.
If you had signed up with one of those, bigger agencies back in the day, it will just send you out to auditions and stuff like that. And they'll call up and say, we just need a white guy. Like I did a TV drama one time. I had to play this priest, and it was it was like in a foreign language. So I was speaking in Spanish, right? And so they sent me all these lines in Spanish, and I spent weeks on rehearsing these Spanish lines, and I was like so confident when I woke up on set, right? And then so we go in, and so we're talking and doing the Spanish scene, and then I messed up a line, right? And I was like, sorry, I messed it up. And he says, just you can say whatever you want, no one cares. And I was like, what? Because we're speaking in Danish now? I mean, seriously? He's like, yeah, just do whatever you want in there. We're just going to dub over it anyway. I was like, well, okay.
You could have told me this 3 weeks ago.
You could have told me. I was like so devastated. Not devastated. I was like heartbroken.
Yeah, I would be too, having spent all that time.
I take great pride in my craft as an actor, right?
Yes.
So it's like, why would they not, respect that? But then I've also been on the other side of the coin where it's like, oh, we need Nicholas Pettis.
Yeah.
And we need you to be like this. And like I was on a scene with a very famous actor, and it was like kind of this kind of setting. We were negotiating tempo, right? And so I played this very powerful American, businessman kind of type of guy, right? And he says something, and I get angry, and I stand up, and I slap my hands on the table and stuff like this, right? And it's like, yeah, I like that. The director comes over and says, I like that, because when you slap your hands on the table and stand up and stare him down, can you like hold your breath and make your face go red? And I was like, you're kidding me, right? And I was like, I love the challenge of it, right? So I went through the whole scene again, and I slapped it, and I hold my and I went really red in the head. And he was like, cut, love it.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That's true acting, of course.
Yeah, it was really fun. I love it. I love acting. But I mean, we're here to talk about you more than me.
That's all right, of course, yeah.
I want to go back because I want to know exactly how did this all start? How did this journey start for you? Where were you born, and how did you end up in Japan?
All right, I was born in Sydney in Australia.
Okay.
Right, to a mum with British roots and a father with Scottish roots.
Yeah.
But going quite a way back.
Yeah.
And I had an uncle who was a professional opera singer, and we used to go and watch him, and he'd take me backstage, and then when they needed a kids chorus on stage, like come and sing with the Sydney Opera Company or the Australian Opera Company at the Opera House, and it just took off from there. And I'd been doing theatre as a kid, and then got to about 15 and debuted as a rock singer.
Yeah.
Last I was at a very, very prim and proper private boys' school in Sydney. And then once that kind of finished, I was in a band that started to take off, and then our drummer got scouted by a very famous band in Australia. And they went on tour with Kiss and the Eurythmics.
Oh, wow.
So it was better than us playing the Sydney Cove Tavern kind of thing. It was much, much more attractive.
Absolutely.
So then, but I deferred university and everything thinking, well, I'm going to be a rock star, here we go. So I completely kind of just dropped the bundle. Then when the band broke up, I'm like, well, there's really nothing here in Australia for me, is there? So let's go to England and rebirth ourselves in England.
Okay.
Where can we go via? Because, we might as well make a bit of a trip out of it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Japan looks nice, it's only it's the same time zone, and it's only a 9-hour flight to Narita, here we go. And I could get a working holiday visa.
Yeah.
So I got a working holiday visa, and $500 Australian, which is nothing, basically.
Yeah.
And turned up in Japan, and here we are, 33 years later.
No, but did you never go to England then?
I did, but I didn't go. I went as a tourist, if you like. Oh. And I've got relatives there, so I went back and, saw relatives and so on, but I never actually ended up going there to work.
You can't jump over 30 years of career to say, then I'm just here. Because, what was the first thing you did when you got to Japan, for example? I
went to a pub and drank. No, work-wise, you mean?
Well, even maybe the first thing, if you hear the podcast with Konishiki, check it out.
Yes,
Tomodachi's.
yes.
The first thing he did was he was begging money from people in the plane because he didn't have money to buy himself out of the airport.
Yes.
But you get in?
I get in.
What do you do?
And I kind of, I ended up getting into Shinjuku, and I ended up kind of blagging my way into a capsule hotel, not speaking a word of Japanese or anything, having no idea what was going on. But I had met a girl. This is the thing. I'd met a girl, but she was way outside of Tokyo in a place in Yamanashi.
Where did you meet her?
I met her in Sydney, through a mutual friend. And, you do. It wasn't a really serious thing. But I had her number, so I called her up and said, well, I'm in Japan now, So, let's meet up. Great. But she's 120 k's out of Tokyo. So I went to her town, and I'm like, all right, well, this is actually quite nice. I love Tokyo, of course. But what I gathered in the short time before going there was that it's an international city. There's so many foreigners around. And in those days, this is 1987, I wanted to experience... 1987. I wanted to experience the real Japan.
Yeah.
As you do, right? So...
That's right at the bubble, so it must have been
right in the middle of the bubble. So every country town was it was just booming. Yamanashi was the center of the jewelry, gemstone trade in Japan in those days. I don't know whether it still is, but it was then. So there was just like money. It was awash with money. Yeah. So I would be in Tokyo and then I'd be in Yamanashi. And I thought, Yamanashi is probably a better deal for the first couple of years. And the longer I stayed in Yamanashi, the more the language skills kicked in and I was able to, to get by on my own. But I had in the back of my mind that I'd like to actually one day go and get back into, into the entertainment world again, thinking that England would be the thing. But the more I got involved with Japan, and the more I spoke, the more I realized that there's a potential here for what I've got as a skill set, so I can maybe apply what I've done in the past and my language skills, mix them together, and then.
But how are you sustaining yourself? Would you be teaching English or working in a bar?
Oh yeah, D, all of the the above.
I literally used to go to this bar called the Black Lion in Meguro, right? And so I used to go there like as a regular, right? And one night, these Irish two kids walk in, right? And they're like, it says staff want it. And it's like, and the guy goes, yeah, you're hired right now. So it's like the first thing they did, they were piss drunk from the night before, and they were just on a big pisser week, right? They were just here for fun, and then he got hired. He ended up staying for 8 years. And Keith is his name, but he ended up going to Holland now because he met a girlfriend. Okay. They moved to Holland, but he loved it here. He became a recruiter, a very successful one actually.
All right. Well, the Meguro Tavern was quite a kind of like a meeting point and
so you know that place, right?
Well, I've been living in Meguro since I came back.
Oh wow!
From my little sabbatical in the middle, so 18 years in Meguro. I
really missed that place actually.
It got quite kind of, let's say the floorboards were rotting, and it was like more kind of cockroaches than people in there at the end. Yeah. And there's a few other bars that are taken off now in Meguro, which is
really?
And
definitely go there then.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, so how are you sustaining yourself?
So you're doing all of the above. I working part time in a bar, working in a karaoke place, doing a bit of English teaching as well. In those days, of course, foreigners was rare as hen's teeth.
Must have been. I used to have friends that told me they were making $100 an hour as an English teacher.
Yes.
$100 an hour.
There was a university teacher, a university professor, I should say, sorry, who was doing a medical research paper. Yeah. He was doing this thing for about 4 or 5 years. Whenever he needed English correction, he'd come to me and he'd pay me in beer tickets. Right? So it's 1,000. And I'm thinking, okay. Beer tickets. And I didn't even realize at the point that it was legal tender. Yeah. You could use it to buy anything. Anything, much, But he just come with a stack of these beer tickets. So I just kept them in a folder. And then another friend I'd made, a foreign guy who had been there forever, he'd been there since the mid-70s, he said to me, that's legal tender. You can take that to a department store and buy yourself a suit or whatever. And I ended up having 1.5 million yen worth of these beer tickets. And I had no idea.
$15,000
worth of beer tickets. And
you thought it was just for beer.
How am I going to get through this? There was a bit of that. But I used to use a bit of them for beer, but that was the only thing. But in those days, you could buy the 4-litre or 5-litre jugs of beer.
The big cans.
The cans in the convenience store.
But they don't have them anymore, do they?
Well, you can find them. There are a few retro stores that still have them.
Hilarious.
In places like Koenji and Shimokizawa.
Yeah, interesting.
So then that kind of all went on, and then... Then I'm like, okay, I want to get back into the game. Met a girl, got married, got divorced.
Oh,
met
you
another
got
girl,
divorced?
got remarried.
Oh, wow.
And we're still married to the second. It sounds
doesn't sound good now.
So remarried, and then we're still together, and everything's great. But I thought I've got to get back to what I was originally wanting to do, which is getting back into entertainment. And
so, what was the first job of entertainment here?
Here in Japan? Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny. What do you mean when I came back or before I left? Because there's kind of like a halftime and a first half and a second half.
I want to hear about the halftime, but the actual literally first that's an entertainment job that you like, because you said you were out knocking on doors and say, I'll do this on my own.
But for the first 10 years, I wasn't really that interested in doing it because I got absorbed in just, working in a pub, going out drinking and, being a young idiot, kind of traveling based in Japan to Europe, backpacking around Europe and so on. I did all of that kind of stuff. So I wasn't so interested in the first, 10 years. But even in that time, though, I did a few gigs, and I was still able to, sing. I went to I sang at an opening of an English school in Fukushima, Prefecture in Iwaki City, in 1989, and they paid me 500,000 yen for about 10 minutes over 2 days. And then they spent the rest of the time taking us out drinking to sake, back in breweries and whatever.
Best job I've ever.
Brilliant. And then there was when I still had hair, I was a catwalk hair model. Yeah. At a hair show.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
A hair show.
A hair show at the Yogi Gymnasium. which is amazing. Like, yeah, and I was slim enough to, water there. I was slim enough to pull it all off. So everything was good, So that was a decent.
So what is this gap in your life, you say? Why is that there?
Well, okay, there's that 10 years when I wasn't, fell in love with Japan, wasn't really chasing the entertainment game. Yeah. But then towards the end and wanting to get back into it, I kind of came to Tokyo more often from Yamanashi. It's not that far. So I'd come and I'd go to jam sessions and so on. And I happened into this one place called Lantan in Shinsen, which is just up the road from Shibuya. And they had this really great session day where all of these really, really famous Japanese session musicians go just to jam. Yeah. And then you've got like Samejima Hideki from Hound Dog just sat there playing bass. You've got, Korenaga from Rebecca just standing there playing guitar in a bar that's probably twice the size of this studio. Wow. Tiny place. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I can sing. So I got up and sang, and they're like, man, because I've got quite a high singing voice and like a rock singing voice. So they were like, yeah, let's do. Oh, sorry. I keep spinning. He's getting an umbrella, my friend.
Sorry, it's all good.
Don't worry, I've had my PC, I'm good. So they're like, yeah, wow, you can sing. And so I did some gigs with these guys and so on. And then I met a guy from NHK, and so they were saying, well, you're from Australia. We were going for the Sydney Olympics. Would you like to come and be part of our crew? So I went back to Australia with the NHK and worked with the NHK doing the Olympics and doing that with the high definition crews in Sydney. Yeah. I met a whole bunch of people, and then I said to these guys, I'll be on NHK within 5 years, and ta-da! It came true. Within 5 years, I had a regular show on NHK when I came back to Japan. Really so it's quite a hilarious thing. I'm still in touch with these guys. So yeah.
So I hosted a show for NHK World called Imagination for 7 seasons with Chiaki Horan, and I loved it. The only reason we got shut down is because of the Olympics.
All right.
So now, like last year, they're like, we're changing all the budgets, doing more stuff on sports, so we're cutting out shows, because they don't know if the shows are doing good or well.
Yeah.
Because they can't get the ratings from overseas. Because I've asked about this, because I wanted to do this other show I did called martial arts called The Samurai Spirit. We wanted to like buy the rights for it and like sell it as DVDs because they're that well produced. And there's like, they don't really do that.
Well, they don't. No, they're very kind of like. But I suppose if there's another kind of a production company between NHK.
Yeah, there was, but I tried to. So we tried as a team to buy the rights for that show from NHK, and somebody didn't want to sell it. Unfortunately, really, but they're really good. We can watch them on YouTube anyway. So I mean, people just upload them, and then once in a while, someone says, "Oh, this is not yours," and then they take it on. Then another guy just uploads it. Talking about YouTube, so what is like for you, for example? Because I'm not going to say this and sound like a snob or anything, but in the beginning, when YouTube first popped up, I was like, yeah, that's like a great way to do a vlog, right? So like now I don't have to type anything. I just, instead of doing they call it BBS back in the day or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, I just talk to my phone, right? And so I started doing that. So I had like 600 like vlogs like 10 years ago up on my YouTube channel. And I was like, I just gave up on it because I didn't know if there was anyone actually watching it or following me. There was no interaction with anyone. Right. And then I thought, well, YouTube's for music anyway. It's just for music videos, right? It's just for music videos. And then now you see the difference in YouTube, how it's like exploded, and you have like all these personalities. For example, the Tomodachi is watching us today. This is also because it's on YouTube, right? I think it's a great interface to have it. But in the beginning, like because I didn't get into YouTube until like for real, like probably like last year.
Okay.
Like up until that, maybe a year before that, I would watch shows like The Hot Ones with Dumbfounded Media, and we'd like, mimic it and get some hot wings and like eat them and get all excited about it, But just for that, and then after that, it was just music. And then so last year, because of the COVID, it's like, okay, now I need to find out, I need something to do because we closed the gym for 2 months.
Yeah,
almost 3 months. Right?
Yes.
And that's when I found out that YouTube is a fantastic tool for finding someone of people you have interest in and following them. And it's like tagging on either on their adventure vlogs or on their, fun stuff or interesting podcasts or whatever it is. And so the question is, what is your mind in viewing what YouTube does for the media now and in comparison to what like the conventional media channels are?
Okay, this is another long spiel I have for this one, if you like. Back in the day, I was kind of, I don't know, very incorrectly, kind of a snob in a way. My way of thinking was, hang on, I've been doing this since I was a tiny kid, and I've worked my whole life to get onto TV, radio, etc. Yeah. And then someone can jump on YouTube without a skill set, and then bang, they get a million followers or whatever, without necessarily having gone through that road.
Exactly.
So in the beginning, I was really quite, snobby. I was looking down my nose at YouTube, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. It's beneath me. But then there are some really quality people, quality people who've never really had the chances that we've been given to get on to mainstream media.
And they might never get the chances that we've had.
That's right.
But in the other side, I think that's really interesting.
Yes.
But in the YouTube community, they got millions of followers. They're making a killing on it. And it's just like, wow, that's incredible.
Because it's hit a nerve. There's a market for what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you can't just write it off like,
No, not at all.
But the thing that concerns me the most about it is with YouTube, all the YouTubers who are really, really successful have to put up something every day.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of content being pushed out there.
Mess with your head. I mean, we do it and we get paid for it, but not, say, on YouTube. But we do it if I'm doing something every day.
Yeah.
But I'm getting it's a rolling kind of a thing. People ask me to do stuff all the time. But to be creating by yourself and not sure whether that's actually going to have an audience.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to feed yourself with that or not?
So I spent the last 12 months on figuring this out. The conclusion I came to was this.
Yes. Tell me, please.
I started with 1,600 followers, subscribers.
It's not bad.
Well, those were from 10 years ago. I didn't even know I had them. So it's like, okay, wow, this is cool, right? And then I looked at the content that I had and I deleted like 600 videos or just unlisted them.
Deleted?
Well, I think I deleted most of it or unlisted, whatever. But I was just like, it's because it wasn't in the direction I wanted to go.
Okay.
So, last year I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. I just thought I had a lot of time. I love being able to, create some kind of connection with Tomodachis, people who have followed me from a long time before, and also maybe making new Tomodachis. And so it was during COVID, it was food shows for my members, as in how do you eat healthy? Because we're going to talk about that real soon.
Yes.
Because you gained over COVID, and I lost weight during COVID. As much as you gained, I lost.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was really super proactive about it. I knew straight away, look, man, you're going to move less. You're going to eat the same. You're going to get fat. It's that simple. So my philosophy was just eat less and then keep training. So I would go out and film myself, cooking foods in the house and then making training videos of me working out. But there was no editing in these things. And then, dumbfounded media says, oh, but you should check out this guy. This really famous vlogger from New York, right? Rides around on a skateboard and stuff like that. And I thought he was really cool. And I was like, Casey. So I got super inspired and then I tried to mimic it and try to work with it and learn and understand what making a little movie, for example, is about. Open the door of the car, get the the shot of the hand, hearing the sound of the door closing, going for all these things. And then he also taught me a lot about editing, right? Anyway, and I was shit at it. I was shit at it for real. But it slowly grew. And I was like, oh, okay, people are they're giving me a chance here.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. So I kept making shitty videos. Right? I got a little bit better at editing. And then I found a style. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stick with this style and see where it goes. And then at one point, I just realized, I was like, look, man, this is as good as I'll ever get at this. Because I just don't have the patience for it. Because you shoot, you got to come up with stories.
Yep.
Then you got to film it and make it real, make sure that everything's shot properly, and then you got to sit down and look at it again about 50 times while you're editing it, and then you got to understand what is the editing art. And I'm going to call it the art of editing because dumbfounded media is so good. I kid you not. He's going to make us look great on this show.
Good luck with that. I've been trying for years. It's not worked.
And so I just had a serious talk to him. I said, dude, man, you are so good at this. Why am I trying to even get close? I will never get to that level. It's like it's like me trying to learn the piano. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So I said, hey, man, let's partner up.
And obviously, it's a great partnership.
Yes.
Because the content is fantastic.
And so now we've gotten rid of all the shitty videos, and now it's just really cool production videos.
Did you lose followers when you got rid of that shitty video content?
No, we're actually growing.
Good.
But we're only uploading 1 or 2 videos a month, and we split the channels up. The Tokyo Talks is a specific channel just for this. That the partnership between me and Dumbfounded Media. I keep saying Dumbfounded Media. I hope you guys pick up on that. Please subscribe to the channel, Tomodachis. But yeah, so this is what I realized.
Yeah.
For me, if you want great production video quality, either you learn it or you partner up with
somebody who knows what they're doing. Yeah, of course. With YouTube, I get often asked by production companies to do pilots for things, and they're mainly kind of based upon what I did with the NHK e-television for kids, right? But adult versions of that content, if you like, not X-rated adult versions, as in just content for adults. So what I found with the way, I don't know how Dumbfounded does it. I'm sure they're doing it in a completely different spick-span way. NHK, the location stuff is done really, really simply.
Yeah.
They're basically, it's a rolling the camera. I have ideas. They're like, we write them down, stick it underneath the camera, And they're just like, what they say in Japanese, marunage, you go for it and just do what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if it's this easy to put this stuff together, if I've got a decent enough camera and a mic, a pin mic, and I do like the editing, so I've got they will laugh, Final Cut Pro 10. I mean, okay, it's
the same as I have.
Yeah, and it's not bad. You know,
welcome to the
cool,
club.
Very cool. I've got Pro Tools because I do a lot. I've got my own studio, so I do a lot of, even like some of the stuff I do, for example, Sekai Marumie, which is a show on Nittele, which is what's been on for 32 years, 33 years.
Yeah.
They asked me to do the 30-year anniversary special. Hey, I introduce videos. You're like, Tokoro-san, Takeshi-san, Oceania Tanto no StuartO desu. Honjitsu go shoukei suru video ga kochira desu. So I'm introducing videos.
Nice.
Right? But since Corona has kicked in, I'm doing that in my own studio with a simple white back with the lighting, the camera, and I do the pin mic, and I have a dummy mic in front of me. So I've got all the gear, basically. So
but you also learned this from, sorry to jump in on this.
From watching what's on the other side of the camera when I'm working, doing it.
But the editing part and using the mechanics of it, is that from doing your music?
It's very, because
did that give you an in?
It's a pretty similar process with digital editing. Yeah. So if you can do sound, it's pretty much, I mean, it's a lot more complex because I don't want to go, with the dumb people looking at me going like, no, it's not. It's a lot more difficult. You have no idea what you're talking about, man. But it's actually kind of similar in concept to your splitting. Yeah. What's the word? Like a kind of substituting content for, this is a better cut than that one. Yeah. The size, the sound, mixing the sound. It's quite similar. And I actually don't mind doing that. Oh, wow. I do a radio show. It's an in-store show for LaLa Port. Oh, yeah. And I've been doing that in my own studio for 7 or 8 years now. So I make all the sound logos, Fujimi Island Music with StuartO, and do all of that stuff, right? So, because I'm happy doing all that stuff, right? So for me, it's even like it's an extension of that. I'm doing one at the moment, a pilot, that is Aruko StuartO. I'm walking around Tokyo in specific areas. Yeah,
I watched that.
Doing kind of, it's a simple Eikai thing. It's really, really simple.
I loved it when you opened the show and said, yes, during COVID, I gained 10 kilos. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. And then you finished both the shows with a beer. Well,
the idea is, because, I mean, that's what you do. You walk 10,000 and on the way home you have a pint. I mean, but the other part of that was the idea I could probably get some good sponsorship with that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were thinking more of BS than NHK.
Yeah.
So,
it's got a really good flow to it. They're nice and short, and you show the city and stuff. Who does the music for those?
Me.
Oh, cool.
Everything.
Yeah.
All the editing, music, cameras. As I said, I go out with a tripod and a camera and the pin mic.
I'm sure you and Dumbfounded Media will get on like a house on fire because he does everything, like all the music and everything. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yes.
He does a lot of research. A lot of things that we talk about on the show, he'll pop up and like go in and find photos of and stuff like that and insert it into it.
Oh, right.
I think his best work so far is the Konishiki one, actually.
Oh, because there's lots of material online with Konishiki.
Man, it's like he got the fight where he broke his knee. And it's like,
No.
But so anyway, talking about the concept, what I learned over that, you're not just that, it's just you partner with someone that's better than yourself, but also when you see the really successful YouTubers, which you probably have the talent to do all by yourself. It looks like it. I can't. But they do not just the YouTubes. They shoot, edit, and make that really good. They follow their own formula. They make up their style of the show and they go to then they tweet. Then they Reddit, and then they do live streams. Then they do, and we're talking every day, like every day. There's this really cool YouTuber called Philion. He talks about fitness guys. It's hilarious, by the way. He's just so funny. But so what he does is, this is something smart. He does the live Twitch stream where he pulls up.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's
the gaming one.
Yeah, that one. He also games on it, but he also just does like his actual show that he does, and then he just films that. He records him while he's talking to his Tomodachis and coming up with comments on it, and then he just posts that on YouTube. Yeah.
And so that's, there's no editing or anything really necessary.
Yeah, not on that one.
It's just, but I don't know. I think, that's good if it's a vlog and it's only, as you said before, to a limited
he does on that one
like
also. It actually takes a lot of editing because he'll pull up stuff from YouTube and he's talking about, say, we're going to look at this Instagram or this, that, and that. So he has to put that in there and make that for real. But he does it in really like a fluid, simple way. He does so much content.
Yeah, that's the thing. Have you got time for it? No. I know I don't, but I'd love to have more time to. Well, actually, no. I said this before Corona kicked in and wiped out at that stage more than half of my gigs. Yeah. It was like, I wish I had some more time because I was at the stage where I was doing literally 3, 4, 5 jobs. I'd go, I'd do something at breakfast live on radio, then I'd run to a TV studio, do a segment, then do 2 commercial narrations, and then go and do trains to Oshi, Tokyo. That kind of that kind of relaxed narration in night. So I was like, I wasn't doing any of them to the best of my ability because I was doing so much that I was stretching myself so much. I was just like, I'm letting The clients, they were happy, but I knew I could do better. So I wish I had double the time, half the gigs for the same money.
Yeah, that would be nice.
What do they say? Be careful what you wish for.
Oh, that's where you're at now then.
No, it's all picked up again, which is great. But it was just, I found having the time, I didn't really want to have that much time. But,
okay.
You know, hence, as you did when you had to shut the gym down, you had a couple of months where you couldn't do any work. So it gave you a good opportunity to do a lot of stuff.
Well, the thing is, I think people like you and I mean, we got very similar energy and stuff like that, and like pulling people, you know, towards us and stuff like that. But even more so, you're driven to do something. Yeah. You know, you can't just sit down and just like let it go. It's like, okay, I'm just going to get whatever. No. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about that, sitting down and giving up. Because what happened during COVID?
What, to my body, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, well, two things. Yeah. First of all, with my work, as you said when you kindly introduced me, I do a lot of live events, emceeing, rock singing at events, you know, corporate events. Like, our guest today is StuartO, kind of that kind of thing. The Santa Soul Train, which is a very energetic project. Yeah. And most of my kids shows and family shows, either they're being paid gigs or non-paid gigs, are very energetic shows per se. So I was doing probably 3 days of these, 3 gigs, or 3 days of these kind of gigs a week. Yeah. So I would be going, say, for half the week, I'd be, okay, Tuesday, you're off to StuartO for the day. So the day before, you keep fit, you don't drink, you don't, overeat or whatever. First flight out in the morning, you keep your fluids, you get on stage, you do your thing, you maybe have a kampai and then you fly back, okay? Then you've got, okay, the next day is 2 or 3 voice gigs, so you do your normal thing. But then, say, Thursday comes along and you've got Hiroshima, but they're going to send you in a Shinkansen. So you're going to be sat on one of the things for 5 hours. So you kind of got to keep yourself, with your switch on. So that was happening 3 times a week. Take that away. Yeah. Not only have you lost your spark, I mean, I was still, as I said, doing TV and voice and so on, so there's a lot of those gigs. But you take that away, it's like, well, where's the 7 o'clock showtime?
Running around and stuff,
Can you imagine going on tour as a rock singer for like 2 years and then coming off stage? And Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones said this. He's like, I can't sit around drinking whiskey. Because he needs that kind of something, but it's taken away from him. In my case, I had all these bookings. 2020 was going to be a massive year for me personally, career-wise. Oh, man. Bang. I had like 160 cancellations.
Oh my God.
Like just within that first month and a half, they would call me like gigs booked up for like August, September, October. They're all like, so like bang. So I lost all of that. So that motivation went, plus all that physical activity, plus the physical preparation and post, what would you call it? Like post physical, that goes. Then there's, I have an elderly father-in-law who was rushed to hospital right at the beginning of Corona. Nothing to do with Corona, but he has really severe asthma and problems with his, what would you call it?
Breathing system?
With his respiratory system, right? So he's in hospital for a month. So I'm like, there's kind of like, my wife is out there for a month. My daughter and I are not stuck at home, but we're at home. My daughter just finished university. Her whole world was shut down. She had all these company to go to, all these things sorted for her. It was all cancelled. My gigs and my live gigs were gone. The location things, the TV gigs were all cancelled. If the companies and the clients were satisfied that I could do it decent enough quality in my own studio, they'd let me do the narrations and the voices for shows, which is, mainly this kind of like, this kind of a voice. So it wasn't too much of a production kind of like hassle for me. And then the TV, they said, well, you can do it in your own studio. So can you do your segments from home? Yeah. But that was like, I've gone from like 30, 40 gigs a month to like 6 gigs.
Whoa.
And I wasn't concerned about the financial. I mean, the financial hit, there's no such thing as cancellation fees in the Corona world. That's a thing of the past. But when that's all taken away from you, you've got this dual thing. I'm worried about family. I'm trying to keep home together, but then I've got my own issues. And when my daughter's kind of like in a room doing whatever, I'm sat there going like, be on the veranda, Sat there and have 1 beer and think. 2 beers and think. 3 beers and think. 4, 5, 6 beers. Oh, let's go and get some more from the only shop open, which is either 7-Eleven or Don Quixote. Bang. Yeah. Get another 6-pack. You're up till 4 in the morning on the veranda because they've got a beautiful view.
There's a lot of things to think about, The more you drink, the more you think,
Well, but then you get kind of high, right? You're like, Corona, I'll be fine, All these things. So then that was kind of began that process. Plus another thing I found was I'm a pretty decent cook, and I always love cooking. Never really had the time to do that much. And it's very Japanese-based cooking. I'm really particular about ingredients, spend a lot of money on ingredients and so on. We don't eat out a lot for that reason. We prefer to do things at home.
Nice.
Which is, it's really cool. But famous last words, crack open a bottle and start cooking with a bottle of sake. I'll have one, I'll have two. And then, once again, you're sampling your own food and cooking.
Yeah.
And then all this kind of stuff. I mean, just all that.
But it's also good. I mean, it is also good times to be able to do that. I mean, think about it. I actually think, personally, so many good things came out of Corona. I mean, a lot of bad things came out, but great things happened for me. So I'm like, I actually feel blessed in somehow that the world kind of got like big kick in the ass, basically. But yeah, depression, right? I mean, but it does hit everyone hard. Obviously, the financial was like one of those things. You're like, yeah, of course, I'm not so worried, but everyone's worried.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to lose my gym, and I didn't know if the cash flow was going to keep us alive. And then we got the grants from the government and kind of floated through it, so it was okay.
Ours lasted we got a proper business. What was it? Shanking. Yeah, but it didn't last. Too many things.
So my advice in a situations like this is to review two things: your sleeping patterns and also your connection with food, your emotional attachment to food and drinks that you're going through. So if you could kind of revise them and say, okay, if I'm going to eat food that I like, the only thing that you really got to consider is like the portions of it. How much you actually eat, because when you're not moving and you're sitting in a chair all day long and you're not like rushing down to the train station, rushing over here, on stage, doing all these things, because that would be your fitness.
Exactly. Right? And also I do training as well.
And so you take that away, right? So you're, generally speaking, over a whole week or a month, right, you're moving 1/3 or 1/4 of what you normally used to move physically, right? So I went down to 2 meals a day. Cook super clean meals. I still drank because it was like, yeah, why not? I'm like having great fun, sitting there trying to learn how to edit,
with whiskey.
Hey, dumbfounded media. How do I do an ending for this?
Maybe Nick, you should stop drinking when you're editing for a start, right?
That's the first thing he told me. But yeah, and then also like, what are you drinking? Again, right? So what I was saying is, so the portions of the food and also what you're drinking, because you get less calories from other alcohols, like beer's like the worst ever. I gain weight from just thinking about drinking beer, and then also making like a sleeping pattern thing where it's like, okay, how much can you actually, like, how much should you be sleeping? Like, and I'd say 8 hours. If you can get 8 hours, so like just shut it down, make it really dark, close the door and have no distractions, no, lights around you and all that stuff. And then you can also turn on athletic sleep, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, made by Dumbfounded Media.
Athletic sleep. We can just do a voice over that.
It's on YouTube.
Athletic sleep on YouTube.
But it's fun because if you get that sleep, your stress levels, like hormonal stress levels, go down. And then if you try and maybe write down what you're eating and drinking, because then you're accountable for what you're putting in your mouth. It's the easiest thing to do for I would say for people around your age, our age, when it starts, okay, it's got to make like a drastic change in their life, right? And then eventually you could start thinking of doing like small workouts in your house and doing stretch routines and stuff like that, because it'll activate some kind of, hormonal like discharge that makes you feel stress relieved, right? And then you don't have to go on those massive binge drinks and eat all that food that you want to eat, right?
Fair enough.
This is all I would say to you, and this is the easiest way to lose weight.
One question.
Yes.
16/8.
Yeah,
fasting. What do you think of that? Yeah.
It works for a lot of people. It's pretty much what I and the fiance are doing now. We're on 2 meals a day. It's just because it works on our schedule.
Good.
We wake up in the morning. She doesn't eat breakfast. It's like, it's a good story, actually. I'm going to tell it to you because you're on the show. So when I proposed to her, I said, I want you to eat breakfast with me for the rest of my life. This is the first thing that went wrong that day. The second thing that went wrong was I gave her a ring where she just looked at that thing. So I've spoken about this ring several times on the show. Don't worry about it. So it wasn't the ring she was hoping for. And then she goes, I don't eat breakfast.
But knowing your fiance quite well as I do, that would mean, yes, please, for the rest of your life. Yeah.
But so, we quit breakfast.
Good.
And so you could do either one. And then we come home around noon or between like 12 or 1 after we work it out in a gym. And then we'll have like a good breakfast. That would be the breakfast, right? Or you'd call it lunch or whatever. And then we try to eat our last meal before 5 p.m. or before 6 p.m.
Okay.
So there's a really small window, right? Between 12, you can have coffee down here before that. She has coffee, I have coffee, So you have like from 12 to like 6 p.m. And then you have all those hours. you know.
Because I'm like 12, between 12 and 8, I have 2 and a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
And just recently I've cut, well, not completely, but I've cut some of the beers out for non-alcoholic beer, which is quite nice.
Fantastic.
But I've never really been a big, let's drink at home every day kind of thing person at all. This is what happened with Corona. Up until that point, I would happily go without alcohol for months. I actually didn't drink for 5 years because I had an operation on my on my vocal cords. I had polyps on my vocal cords, and then they found another set, all related to acid reflux. So that when I was sleeping, the acidity was coming up and burning my vocal cords, which meant I got polyps in between the vocal cords. When they can't close, they can't make a sound, so that your voice is gone. So I did 2 surgeries on that and gave up booze for 5 years until they said you can drink again.
Scary.
And all you can drink is either craft beer or nihonshu. Sake or craft beer. That's
Why?
It. Because of the brewing processes and the fermenting processes in craft beer.
You sure you couldn't do like tequila?
No, everything else other than beer and this is the
tequila is made from cacti, right? From agave. Right?
There you go. But this is, I won't
even
name the hospital.
Even people doing paleo, they're like, yeah, you can drink tequila because tequila's paleo. And it's just like, it's like there, I don't know. It could be something you could look into.
I will look into it.
I'm not a doctor. Just don't take my advice for it.
And I had a really, really good team from a really, really top, well, the Tokyo Voice Center, I should say, sorry. Great people. They stayed with me for years.
Shinagawa?
No, it's in Nogizaka.
Oh, okay,
there's a couple with similar names, but this is the one in Nogizaka in Sanno Hospital. And they have a really good team, like a really proper team with nutritionists, rehabilitation, voice rehabilitation people and so on. And so they put together a really, really good package.
Nice.
But they said, well, you can drink sake.
Or
because if you can eat rice, you can drink sake. If it's not affecting your voice when you're eating rice, then it's not going to affect it if you're drinking sake. Because it's not the alcohol that's causing the problem, they said.
Interesting. I want to ask you about this alcohol then. So alcohol and because in Japan, right, as a culture, it is. It seems that alcohol is a very big factor of people's lives.
Yes, it is.
Mostly the salarymen, they use it for, relaxations and being able to talk to their peers and colleagues and bosses and, whatever. And then they always come home drunk at night. And so it's just like part of the culture to drink it all the time. Personally, and this is going to be a little bit hard for me to come open with and be clean about, but I've been a highly functional alcoholic for many years. My mom's going to hate me for saying this, but it's just the way it is. I always get up in the morning, I work out, do my things, do business. I made a successful business and everything. Get home at night and, let me loose. I just do whatever I want. And then it's just like the whiskey or the gin tonics or whatever it is, right? And for me, it was also it started way back in the day when I was still married. And during those times when the marriage wasn't going so good, because I hit, I hit it twice hard. When I broke my leg, I snapped my shin in half, basically. And so I couldn't walk on my leg for 6 months. So I was in a wheelchair and stuff like that. And that time also, so I know exactly what you went through with COVID with the beer. So I was drinking beer and just any kind of alcohol. And I went from being super fit at 99 to 102 kilo body weight to 122 kilos.
Whoa.
In 6 months.
In 6 months?
Yeah. When I got off the crutches and started walking, but I was only doing 2 things. I was writing on my book and drinking alcohol. And literally just take from my computer to the bathroom to the bed, and that's it. And so but I lost all that weight again and started fighting. I went back to fighting eventually. But that was like one of the times where I was like, oh, okay, I'm just drinking myself to a fucking stupor because I hated myself. It's like you say, if you take that stage away from someone, they take my fighting away from me. My whole life had been stolen from me. Because my best weapon was a low kick, and I'd broken my own leg by kicking another guy on his leg.
Right.
And so it was like going through a massive identity crisis. The second time that hit was when I had my hip replaced. And so it was in so much pain. It's a long story. We're not going to go over it here. But so I started drinking hard again. And then my marriage was also in really rough situation. Couldn't fight, take the money away. My sponsor, let me go. And it's just like, all she said was, well, you'll figure it out, won't you? Because she hasn't worked ever since we were married. And I'm just like, now I got to figure it out. That's like with a replaced hip and no way to fight and make money.
Yeah.
And then so that kind of was the beginning of the end of that marriage. So I also got divorced and just got out of it eventually. But yeah, and then it just kind of stays with you for a while. But that wanting to fog out the world, just like, okay, and go to bed and sleep and then wake up and just do whatever you got to do and then fog out the world again. So that worked for me for a long, long time. And I think it's a lot of people in Japan that do this. And I think a lot of people are very highly functional, but they're all alcoholics.
You're right. I think because of the way that, say, the hair of the dog is considered here in Japan. If you say mukaizake, in a Japanese setting, everyone thinks it's hilarious. Yeah, some people in the West would pull you aside and say, "Are you sure you drinking like it's first thing in the morning is a good idea?" But here it's just like it's a laugh. You know, one thing I found really similar, and it's kind of a depression, and I do also have, I believe, an alcoholic personality because I'm actually having to substitute the damn thing for non-alcoholic drinks and so on. And I'm conscious of this. It's an effort I have to make. Yeah. So I think we're very similar in that respect. And I love the idea of just having a cup of sake or some beers, and it's just like, yeah, you know, great, let's have a great time kind of thing. It's always like a carnival, if you like. But with my gig, when I get to a point when I was kind of doubting you, it's like a sports person. Yeah. You sometimes doubt your form. You could be doing the same show as I'm blessed to have a couple of shows that have been going for longer than a decade. You know, you've been doing it every week or several times a week for more than 10 years or whatever. And you could do it in your sleep, but then suddenly, one day you can't do it. You get in the studio and you can't speak. It doesn't work anymore. You stand on the stage and you're like, you find your hands are trembling because you're kind of like, you've got fear. And it's like, where is this coming from? Yeah. I wish I could find, where's this nerve kind of beginning of this butterfly? Where the hell is it flying around in my gut? Yeah. And you want to shut that out and you think, well, if I have a bit of a shot before I go on, that'll go. It's the Dutch courage, right? Yeah. So I did that. That's what they call it, yeah. So it got to a point where that was kind of also, you know, like a snowballing effect for me as well. I'd be like, yeah, you know, I can do it with a beer. If I have a tiny, you know, these tiny cans there, buy one can of beer, have that before you go in the studio, and you just bang, knock it like you normally do. And then you go on stage, okay, and you're like, well, I might need I had a beer this morning and that worked, but I'm going to need something stronger to go on stage this evening. How about, sake, you know, before you stand on stage and say, like, you know, like, you know, bang, and that just kind of once again that took off, and it made it worse because you're not kind of going back to the root of the problem, saying, you know, hey, work on your skill sets again or whatever. Yeah. You're blotting that all out and saying, well, hey, the booze is doing it for me. I don't need to work as hard anymore. But when you don't have that booze, you're kind of like, oh, hang on a sec, I'm lost without it. What am I doing? So I'm like, thank goodness I got my home studio to do some major work. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, get in that studio, and if it takes you 150 times, 150 takes, damn well do it until you've got it. Yeah. And then you'll get your mojo back. So I've had to really force myself. And it's one TV gig I did, and there's a really hard part of the script that usually I could do. It's all in Japanese, but usually I could not sail through it, but I get through it, right? The life of me, it just didn't work. And I did it, like I said, not 150 times, but I probably did about 60 takes of the same thing, a 3-minute segment. Wow. Over and over and over again. And it was just like, you know, and I was like going into the bathroom in my home studio, which is separate from the house, and I, you know, throw up or whatever, because I'm just like, man, what is wrong? Why can't you do this? You've been doing this for years. It's nothing that you don't normally do. Right. So I had to kind of fight with the demons there, and then also fight with what the booze was, I thought, giving me, and it wasn't giving me. And so how's your relationship with alcohol now? Now it's back under control again. Okay, cool. Yeah. It was really, it was probably about, I don't know, a year before COVID that I was finding I was starting to like, you know, I've been there. I mean, it reminds me of another thing, story. I was in a K1 fight. I'm not going to say the fighter's name, right? But before he went in and fought a very big name, him and his whole team, they just pulled out a bottle of vodka, and then they're all doing 5-6 shots. And before walking into the fight, and I was like, oh man, that guy's nuts. I just couldn't understand it. But yeah, so I remember, because my dad was an alcoholic, and he passed away when I was very, very young, probably because of drug abuse and alcoholism. So my mom was very against it, and I also been actually struggling with it, right? Even though I call myself a functional, highly functional, you know, alcoholic. It's like, the thing is, there are those days when you've partied so hard, and then you wake up the next morning, and it's just like, instead of just having that glass of water, just have another beer. Hair of the dog. I mean, I swear, man, I've like been drunk for 3 days in a row sometimes, and just going, when is this going to stop? Yes. And I get to the point where I was like, I don't know how to stop it. Yeah. It's just like, whoa. And that's when I feel the devil is really taking over me. Yes. And so I try my best, like, for real, to not do that. Like, wake up the next day and get on with life as much as possible. Yeah. No matter how hard it is, like, to get up and just get to the gym, or do the right thing. That's the only thing you can do. Once you fall off the bike or fall off the horse, you've just got to get back on it again and go back to what you're normally able to do without any of that. Exactly. Because I also do. There were times when I'm not, say, needed on a particular day. Yeah, you know, it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, it's a lovely day. Let's go to the park. Especially at the moment, you know, there's the temptation's there. Go to the park with a few beers, have a barbecue.
Yeah,
you're allowed to drink outside.
Yeah.
So the temptation is always there. So I'm very much with you on that. And I think, once you can win the battle, then you know.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the support of friends is also super important. Like, sometimes, you have friends and they're just like, dude, man, when they pull you to the side and they go, they're like, okay.
I bet if, one particular good friend did the same thing.
We have come to the part of the show where we're going to deep dive right into your social media. So
into my social media, all right.
Yeah, so I've picked out 3 different photos.
All right.
And I just want to tell you, I want you to tell us exactly what is actually going on here. You ready for the first one?
Yes, I am. All right. Well, the beauty of having no hair is you've got basically a blank canvas, right? So I can't remember where it was. It was years and years and years ago. I'm being the super moon.
This is so funny. Because I couldn't stop laughing.
So I've taken I think a studio selfie where I was wearing like a trainer. Because sometimes in the studio, if the headphones, some of the settings are really quite kind of like toppy, if you like. The high tones are quite high. So I'll wear a hoodie and put the headphones over the top of that, so it doesn't really kind of start squealing in my head. And so I took a photo of the hoodie, then blacked out the rest of the thing around it, and then put it up in the morning after the super moon.
Oh, hilarious.
And I do that a lot with a super moon. I did the pink one recently.
Oh, wow.
Shaded it in pink with an app.
Okay. Well, that was good. So next photo, this I actually know what happens here, but I kind of want to just hear you tell us the story, because this I think is hilarious too.
All right. Now I have this home studio I've been telling you about during today's talk, and I kind of spent a bit of money on making sure everything was sorted as far as the soundproofing is concerned and the mics and so on and so forth. Got it all sorted wonderfully. And what happens? I live in Meguro, right on Meguro River.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge of transport in this country has decided to fly planes to Haneda right over the top of our house.
Yeah,
from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
They fly over my house too.
They do.
So annoying. I remember I thought the first time it happened, I was like, because I was literally sitting on the balcony going, I was like, whoa, cool, an airplane. And then 2 minutes later, they just keep coming. I was like, what is this?
The thing is, that you probably noticed as well, there's not just one route. There's 2 running at the same time, about, a kilometer apart from each other. But they're both kind of straddling our house, if you like, either side. So the money I'd spent on getting, the government said, okay, we'll give you some money to invest in your studio and so on and so forth with our our Shienkin, our grants. And then they decided to do that. So it's worthless, basically. So I bought this little kind of booth, which is it's called the Isovox. And it's only kind of bust up, right?
Yeah.
So I put that into the vocal booth. So I've got double padding.
Nice.
But the problem is, I'm of a decent age where my eyesight is kind of I'm getting the what is it
I got the glasses on.
Right? Yeah. So the depth, if you like, is not deep enough.
Oh, so you can't see it.
I couldn't see it at the beginning, so I had to every script is either tiny and I put the glasses on, or I blow the letters up to triple the size, and I can only do 2 sentences at a time.
Oh,
but that's that. Yeah, and that actually does work now. So I've solved the problem.
So the last one, right? Because this one, it's okay, I'm not quite sure how to present it other than just flash it out there. What is going on here? Seriously, what are you wearing there?
I'm okay. The girl if you look at the picture, she'll be on the right-hand side. She's a burlesque performer.
Okay.
And her name is Luna.
We're going to do up of you, by the way.
We see, okay. There's this really but really, really tiny event called Dr. Sketchy's Tokyo. Right? Now, it's a really good event because it's trying to get young performers and so on the stage, and a lot of these people aren't really paid that well. And a mate of mine took over the event itself. It's only about 20, 30 people come. And just because of COVID and so on, they were doing really, really hard. And they said to me, would you mind coming and trying to just inject some energy into the thing because it's dying a death. So they rebooted it in, I think, March of this year. And then she was the performer on the day.
Right.
Every time I try to match my costume to the name of the performer. So if it's for example, the one before was Valentine somebody. So I had a big heart suit that I would wear for a kid's show, for a Valentine's show, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I thought her name is Luna. So space Luna, alien.
Lunatic?
So you get on, That's definitely in there as well. So I got on Amazon.
Nice. How many suits do you actually have? Because I know you have like a mayonnaise man.
Mayonnaise.
You have a chicken man?
Yes, mayonnaise, 2 chickens.
2 chickens?
2 chickens, yes.
And I've seen you like in a strawberry thing, it looks like.
Yeah, strawberry, yes, you're right there. I've got an apple as well. I got a Valentine's suit. I got a huge soccer ball, a football. I did a whole bunch of Champion Leagues events back in the day, so I'd walk on stage with the
soccer ball.
Or Diver, like there's 2,000 people there at a viewing site, and I was like, 100 come on, this huge kind of soccer ball. But yeah, I've got loads, and then smaller ones like the alien here, it's just the bodysuit and a cape.
Yeah, that's just hilarious. You do some funny stuff. You guys should definitely check out the social media. It is hilarious. And what's with the trains?
Yeah.
What's with the unoccupied trains that you're always in?
You see, Nicholas, you should know yourself, being a celebrity.
Oh, yes.
You just call up JR and you say, I'm going up to Minami Sanriku.
Oh, yes.
To do a Soul Train. Can I get one carriage, maybe, closer to the stairs, so 7 or 8?
Yeah.
Can we book that out for this? Oh, yeah, certainly, Mr. O.
Stuart
O, yes, of course.
Stuart O.
So they book out the whole carriage for me, or if it's a plane, I do the same thing. And I ask JAL or ANAs, or, I do great work with ANA Odyssey Japan. They'll be back up soon, I'm sure.
Fantastic.
No, please, we'll give you the whole plane or the whole left side. So I go in and I've got my own private thing, you see, I'll give you the number after the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
I've got the Linkai line, I've got JR, I've got...
Fantastic.
Actually, what it is, though, is years and years ago, I was first on or last off a Shinkansen. And I thought, for a good laugh, take a selfie of me in an empty train and say, thanks, JR, for the fantastic VIP ride today. Wonderful stuff. And it got such a great response.
It's hilarious, by the way. Yeah.
It's
so bizarre that there's so many empty trains you're in.
But that's the thing. And it's just by luck. Since then, the gods have been going like, let's take this for a ride, won't we? So every time I get into something, well, not every time, but I'd say even like the Yamanote line, for example. The other week, I did 3 gigs out towards Otemachi Kanda area, and I live in Meguro, so I got on there's no one on the train.
Wow.
After Shinagawa, no one gets on. I'm like, put the camera on the seats opposite, sit there and go like, oh, thanks, JR, they gave me the Yamanote line today, because I'm doing all these gigs on the Yamanote line. So this just took off, and the people who follow me on social media, they all thought it was a laugh.
I love it.
Hundreds of photos now.
Yeah,
It's by chance.
Wow.
I get so many empty trains and planes and buses and so on.
But so anyway, you said it yourself, Santa Soul Train.
Yes.
What is Santa Soul Train? How did you get involved? And just tell us what it is for you.
All right. For me, you've talked about Santa Soul Train on this show before. I'm sure you have. I saw it with Angela. And the PTG, Place to Grow organization.
Yep.
I knew Angela socially and then through events and so on for a couple of years. And she said, look, I've got this event and it's good, but we just kind of need something to kick it along. Would you mind coming and emceeing and then maybe doing some kind of little finale show? And I'm all right. Okay, good. And on about 2 hours sleep, we went up there and I saw this room full of people who have been through so much trauma. I mean, I cannot imagine. I mean, I know how it is, kind of like, when my place shakes, but they've had towns wiped out, families.
For the Tomodachi who don't know, Place to Grow is an NPO that works with Minami Sanriku up in Tohoku area, where the 311 tsunami hit. So they were on the ground 2 days, 3 days after that tsunami hit, and had been just, bringing water, food, supplies, and everything. And it evolved, and it's been going on for 10 years now.
That's right. What they did is they did a yearly Christmas party for free. They they got together with one of the local large hotels there. They've got a big convention hall, and they opened it up every Christmas, and they had the US forces were involved in this. They had a whole bunch of international schools, other MPOs and so on were getting involved in making this day for the local people.
Right. And when did you get involved? What year was this?
2013, I think was the first one, or 2014. So it was quite,
you
for the second or third year. Yeah. But the events...
Did you know Konishiki was up there once though?
I was with Konishiki up there.
Oh, really?
And he was, we did a show together as well up there.
Nice. We should do like a reunion here.
Yeah, we should. Yes. And we've done a few things together over the years. Yeah, so it'd be good to see him again. Yeah, we would occasionally...
Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. But Angela explained to me that the event wasn't really taking off. They needed some kind of spark.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, the kids up there, and some of them knew me from my work on children's TV on NHK. So I'm like, okay, let's do something kind of the kids would really get into. And when I was emceeing during the day part of the event, I saw it was really, I don't know, there wasn't really much to bring all these people together. They were all in their separate neighborhood groups, if you like. The foreigners and the Japanese were interacting, but not really, really interacting, And I thought, okay, there's one show I do, which I get everybody on the floor to become cast members. I had so many people during the day saying, you probably won't get much of a reaction because they're in, they're kind of like in what they call jushuku mode here in Japan, which is like you're not supposed to show feelings and express yourself. You're supposed to be keeping calm.
They had no idea.
I'm like, no, this ain't not on my watch. I'm sorry. No, I respect it, but I'm not going to have that. There's no way that's going to happen. And just one of these kind of like magic moments when I said, right, everybody on your feet. Everyone stood up. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come on the floor. You're going to put your hands on, the Soul Train concept, put your hands on the hips of the person in front of you. We're going to make a huge train, and we're going to round and round and round, and then I'm going to drag you up on stage, and you're going to be on my back dancers. I explained it in that way, and it's like they were waiting for this to happen. They were waiting for some kind of reason to yell and scream and whatever. And it just took off, and then you've got these old people coming up at the end of the gig. I haven't seen my grandchild smile for 3 years, like literally really in tears, thanking me for this. It's like, well, this has got to be continued. So we've taken it to Kumamoto, we've taken it to Fukushima, and and then COVID comes along, and bang, the doors. But they wanted me to go up this year. Yeah. No, sorry, last year. They wanted me to go up and do like a long distance version, but I was kind of worried about the COVID situation, and I was worried about bringing maybe something back to my family or taking something from Tokyo without knowing. So I didn't go in the end last year. I would have loved to.
Yeah, it's like really put the world on hold here. It's so annoying, by the way.
It is annoying. Yeah. Hugely annoying. But the Santa Soul Train is something, what I want to do is rebirth it using rope. Now, good viewers and listeners, now if you are really going to be on side with me, I would love for everyone here to get involved in this. And so it is to throw this at you like this.
Absolutely.
I've kind of come up with the concept of what you can do as far as social distancing is concerned with a skipping rope. Usually a skipping rope is about a 5-meter diameter. Is that right?
Depending on the length of the rope.
Sorry, on the length of the rope. So you can actually be your 2 meters front, back, and either side with a large size skipping rope if you make a circle on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got an empty auditorium with 200 people, 300 people, whatever, and they've all got a large adult-sized skipping rope, they can all make their own circles, safe circles to be in. Then, to make one of these soul trains, you take one part of your rope in front of you and you lift that up and you hold the person's behind you, if you like. So you've got one rope in the hand in front of you, one behind you. That's also keeping a decent social distance with the person in front of you. And you can have a huge soul train using ropes, skipping ropes. Yeah. So I want people to donate skipping ropes for the PTG Santa Soul Train rope version. I'd really like that.
Very on point, because we donated a lot of skipping ropes last year. The whole thing, because of the COVID, the situation was they were doing exchange letters between international students and the kids up in Sanriku.
Yeah.
And so we made fundraising, or I helped with fundraising. Yeah. I donated, I think it was 20,000 yen. And so for 20,000 yen, you could get 200 jump ropes.
Yes.
And so we sent, I don't know the exact numbers. We'll probably find out and get the real number, but there was like more than 1,000 jump ropes donated last year.
Right.
Yeah. So they have the jump ropes.
They have the jump ropes. Okay, so we maybe don't need your kindness, but yeah, they have the jump ropes. That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to employ that and try and, get this kind of this rope thing, but they need to be a certain size. I went to the park.
Can you do it outside maybe? Like in a big park, for example?
That's the thing, yes. Yes, that's what I'd like to secure. Then you've got your weather may be an issue or may not be an issue. So you also need a backup venue, or maybe not. Maybe somebody can donate some tarpaulins and some poles and so on. But, seriously, I did a few experiments with this, if you like, outside, and marked out what I would think would be a decent size rope. So I don't know whether it's a 5-meter rope or a 7-meter rope. I mean, much more about it.
Well, jump ropes, if you're thinking about it, they're about 180 to 220 centimeters long. Okay. So they're not that long, actually. Because you're swinging around your body. If it's 5 meters, then you're swinging a massive.
Right, because I found these massive ones, which if you would put them in a round circle,
they could be the ones they use, when they do, like, they hold them and they do the jump rope chicks and stuff like that. Yeah. But you seem, and I mean, your energy is fantastic when you talk about it, but it's charity work, right? Yeah. So you're not getting paid for this. You're donating your time and your love for it.
Yeah.
What is, if you had to, say 2 things, because, I mean, is there a downside to charity work?
No.
Great. Well, then what's the best thing that happened, apart from kids' moms and grandparents coming up and thanking you? What is
I'm not really looking for the thanks for me.
Yeah.
I would just, I don't know. I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way as an arrogant thing to say. But I've noticed over all these years, whether people rate you as an entertainer or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Once you're stood on stage or once you're in a studio, the reactions I get is what I see. Whether I'm doing something in a TV studio and you've got the camera crew going like, yeah, it's great. Or in a narration booth, maybe doing, something just like this. You've got a director who's like, oh, I'm hiring this guy again. Or you're on stage and you've got all these people going like, yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of happy or maybe fortunate that I've been kind of born with this kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I see that reaction and I'm like, okay, this is doing something to people. And I've been able to pay for my life, put my daughter through university, private school, buy a house, all this stuff through what I've been born with. Yeah. Not really knowing what it is, but there is something happening there.
Yeah.
So if I've been blessed with that, then I've kind of got to use it, give back with it. But I'm not kind of like, well, oh, StuartO, thank you so much. I'm not, that's not what I prefer not to have that said, to be honest with you, because it makes me a bit conscious. I would like to know, I would like to see people, with a smile. I mean, you've got kids. Yeah. If you've got kids, you'll understand as well. If your daughter or your son or whatever is sat there like, and depressed and crying, you want to do something to make them feel good, not for you, but for them. Because you cannot stand to see, kids or anyone that you love crying. Even people you don't even know. An old lady was sat on near the station the other day, and she was in tears. And I went, but I've got to leave her. I shouldn't be stopping by during cover times and asking her whether she's okay or not. And I went by and I'm like, no, I've got to go back. Because she's crying about something and she's just like, I can't remember where my house is. Oh my. This is the first time ever. And she's like, it ended up, she was a neighbor of mine. I had no idea because she was like, it's quite a built up area. But had I not gone and asked her, is she okay? She would have been sat there for quite a while in tears on a bench. And she would have been like 75 maybe. You don't want to see anyone in that situation. No. So for me, if I've been given this, getting back to the Soul Train and charity work, something I've been given, if I'm able to use that's just great. I mean,
paying it forward, eh? Because it's beautiful.
Well, it's paying it forward, but also if there weren't anything such as money in the world, if we didn't need money for transactions to live or whatever, I'd be doing all this stuff anyway because, it's what you love doing. You would be too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If it wasn't about the prize fight or it wasn't about the gym, the runnings, the paying your staff and all that, if you didn't have to use money in this world, you'd still be doing what you're doing now. You wouldn't be sat there drinking gin and tonics on a veranda. You'd be out doing your fitness stuff. You'd be out teaching people. You'd be out doing your training and you'd be out doing your sport. And I'd be on stage or in front of a mic or, behind a camera or whatever.
Now it's a funny question. You take the money out of it. Okay, so let's just say you had unlimited access to money. What would you do with it?
With the money?
Yeah.
Finance what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? But so that I can kind of continue doing this.
Right.
Without having to worry about negotiating, as we spoke at the beginning, having to go up against the major production companies and saying, well, my fee is this, you ought to pay this, well, then let's kind of bargain, and this is a waste of my damn time. Sit here for 3 hours bargaining with you. I'd rather be in the studio doing it, but, here we go. We have to do this. If I could take that out of the equation.
Think bigger. Yeah, unlimited access to money.
Unlimited access.
Unlimited billions of dollars. King of the world.
All right.
What would you do?
First of all, there's probably two things. I'd make sure my family is taken care of.
Yeah.
Everybody for life. That's relatives, whatever. Everyone I know. If I had unlimited access.
Unlimited.
Right? Okay. That's one thing. Second of all, I'd really like to make some kind of a safe something, whether that be a safe suburb or a safe building where people who are like getting away from disaster or abuse or dealing with, issues or whatever.
Yeah.
If I could make a really huge, bang on place where people could go and they know if they'd go there that they'd be taken care of.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Because you think so many people you don't know are out there kind of like dealing with all sorts of different issues and they've got nowhere to go. And that's not just because it's Japan and there's less like charity, if you like, or there's less willingness for people to admit that they need some kind of help. But it's like anything. I do a bunch of stuff, and I've never said this. I go to orphanages to do little tiny, shows for 10, say, girls between the age of 11 to 15 who've run away from home or been abused like you would not believe.
Yeah.
Don't know how you could ever do that to your own flesh and blood. But anyway, these kids are in an institution, so I'll go in there and do like, a little 1 hour kind of gig with them, I'd take a plastic guitar and just do silly songs, all pre-programmed stuff, and just have them laugh and whatever. I'd go to inter-cancer wards, leukemia wards, where kids, like little tiny kids, can't get out.
Yeah,
they can't really have that many visitors either. So I'll go in and do little shows for 4 or 5 kids. If these people had somewhere they could go and know that they're going to have warmth and fun, and not kind of like I don't know. some people do these things, those kind of safe spaces and charity work and so on, with the best of intentions, but it ends up being about them, not the person who's come. And it becomes a very kind of, I don't know, there's just some kind of like, not a stench, it's not a stench you can smell, but there's kind of like some kind of, I don't know, mugginess surrounding it, you know, which is one thing that PTG doesn't have, which is Place to Grow, which is why I thought, like, you know, it's not about how good are we, it's all like, yeah, what can we do? Because, like, you know, these people need, like, you know, they need some help here. Yeah. So I'd like to kind of make something that's so fresh and but really kind of like, you know, as good as the Grand Hyatt or whatever, like a really top line, you know, hotel, something really spick and classy. Yeah. But you can use it and respect the space, of course, but not having kind of like, you know, an old rundown elementary school renovated into a charity kind of thing. It'd be like, you know, a really nice place that anyone can go that's, you know, dealing with this. That's what I'd like to do. Anyway.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So really passionate about that. Really.
Do you have anything you'd like to promote on the show today?
I put out a single last year. Yeah. Called 3 Eggs.
Yeah, I was listening to it intently today.
And the idea behind that was it was around the time of all the riots, race riots last year in the States. Yeah. I kind of like got really, you know, upset about that. I just don't like the idea of here we are in the year, 2020, 2021. Yeah. Where the color of your skin is still an issue. I just can't work out that mindset at all. The color of anyone's skin or whatever persuasion they are or whatever nationality they are. Why is that an issue in this day and age? Anyway, so that kind of just really started to really piss me off. So I wrote a very simple, you know, it's a very, very simple song, just 3.5 minutes long, I think. Yeah. And it's 3 eggs. You know, 3 eggs were cracked open. What do they find inside? Yellow yolk, all the same color. Yeah. 3 hearts are broken. What do they find, you know? Same colored blood. Yeah. Same, you know, 3 heads were cracked open. Dreams, same dreams, you know? Yeah. So that was basically the point of the song. And the distributor, the label that I got involved with, this is a mess, a complete mess. They promised the world and they did not promote it at all. Oh. And I paid for everything, great video, everything, got it all sorted. And they've just been so lazy. Oh. So it just died in the backside. Damn. But it got the people who I like, journalists, music journalists and so on, publications, and some artists that I respect I sent to, and they were all really, really positive. They're like, this is really good, man. This is really, not just saying because it's you, it's really damn good. So I'm going to re-release that this year. Hopefully, at the moment, I'm kind of negotiating with a couple of different people at the moment. Cool, very cool. Hopefully, that's called July, August. Eggs. Called 3 Eggs. By StuartO. Yes. And you can get that on Apple Music. It's still on Apple Music now. That's where I listened to it. Cool. There was also a version on YouTube, I think. Yes, I put another one up on YouTube, yeah.
So I actually have a thing that I do often with my fiance or friends like Dumbfounded Media, where we listen to music and we you know, you go to YouTube and you can get all the lyrics, or you can find the lyrics on some app or whatever, right? And then I'll go in and I'll like try to analyze them, right? Right. And so the first song I did this was with Bruce Springsteen's "The River." Yes. Because I was like, what is this song actually about? I fell in love with that song when I was a kid, and I would like, embarrassed to admit this, but I would like sweat a little bit from my eyeballs when I would listen to this song. Just a bit of sweat, yeah, you know. And one time my mom caught me doing that while I was singing along to the song, and I was so, anyway. Thank you very much, Mom. I love you, Maris. But yeah, and then but then it became a thing. Like last year, we started doing it again. I was like picking up and thinking, what do these songs mean that gave impact in my life? And I went through all this Rihanna period, and then I went through the Train period, with the Tears of Jupiter, for example. It's one of the songs that just blew my mind away. And I was like, what is this song about? Because it was so hard for me to try and sing along with it because the lyrics were so up and down and like the tempo was, and I'm a terrible singer, by the way, but I love singing along to songs. And then the funny thing is, you know, on my right side, Senor, we will keep his name out of this. He was also formerly involved in music, and he thinks that the lyrics to that song are hilarious. It's like the best soy latte I've ever had is like this is one of the things he can't stop laughing about. I think it's a brilliant song, though. That's just me, though. But yeah, I would love to like sit down with you, not today, and like go over lyrics and like listen to music together, and just like dissect the lyrics, because as a musician, right, you always see it a little bit different from someone who's not a musician. You hear it different, you see it different.
I don't know whether that's true. It may be the music behind it. Yeah. Maybe you listen to the little bass run in the background or the trumpet, right at the top corner of the speaker. But I think as far as words are concerned, no, I think it's almost like popular music of any genre, from your Bob Dylans to your Pet Shop Boys to whatever. each of them are kind of like, it's like a poem, a story, some kind of experience they've had, or a feeling or a thought.
Yeah.
So I don't actually think that's true. I think anyone can really appreciate the lyrics, even if they're not really into music per se. You know?
I can't pick out lyrics mostly just by listening to the music. You know, you got those friends, I don't know if you can do this, you got those friends when they hear a song a couple times and they start singing along and they just remember the lyrics? I was like, I have to literally sit and like look at the lyrics and like really try and sing along, or be in a karaoke box for like 50 hours to learn one song. But that's what it takes for me. But how do you like just pick it up?
Can pick it up 1 or 2 listens usually.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, well,
I've been doing that since just because I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, do you know these words? How long have I got? 10 minutes. All right. Have a listen to the song. Yeah. If I've got the lyric sheet, maybe I can. If I know the first word of a line or whatever, I'm good. I'm suddenly thrust on stage somewhere. It's like,
it's kind of. Well, I feel like I could kind of like say, if I put on a pair of gloves and I start boxing with someone, I'll suss them out pretty fast.
I think you could. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's that kind of a thing. It's just being used to it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On that note, I just want to say thank you for a fantastic time today. It was so much fun for me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I loved it. I think we're going to have to do another rerun of this because there's so much more to talk about.
And speak slower, I think, next time maybe.
No, I love the tension. That's what it's all about.
Cool.
Like, because it's inspiring, your energy to be in a room with you. And Tomodachi's, he's always like this.
Sorry, there is no off switch.
It's full on all the time. If you have any message for the Tomodachis out there,
just everybody stay safe, stay well. I often think, okay, in this world, in this day and age, everybody wants everything now, results now. They want the answers now. But this corona thing is a pandemic, and if we go back 100 years, it took 3 years for a decent vaccine last time around, the Spanish flu. And now a flu is something that just kind of like, we live with it and we don't think twice. And within a year, they've come up with a vaccine. I'm really hoping it does work. I really hope it does work. It may not work. There may be issues with this. We don't know yet. So everybody just sit tight, hold tight, take care of your loved ones, and we're going to get through it. Yes, sorry, it's kind of like ending on a very dour, serious note. But
no, I like that.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
really
speak from the heart. I think it's more important than just like, you know, coming out with something like, buy my album. Please buy his album, by the way.
Come on, Apple Tunes, come on. Please do that, by the way. We'll hopefully come up with something better next time, I think. But yeah.
Tomodachis, thank you guys for watching another show, The Tokyo Talks. I'm really happy that you guys are following along. Just want to say thank you guys for everything. And this was StuartO.
Thank you. And good night.
Well, Extreme Tomodachis, welcome to the Extreme exclusive footage just for you with StuartO!
Yes! Extreme! Wow! Mr. Nicholas Pettis!